Hi, I'm Kausik, CTO of Menlo Security. In the next few minutes, I would like to present an overview of Menlo Security, as well as the Menlo Security isolation platform that completely removes malware from web and email. Let me start with a little bit of a background. Every week, we hear about a major cybersecurity threat in the headlines. With all of the resources being poured into security products, why is it that things are not getting any better? The main reason why we keep hearing about these successful attacks every single week, and of course, there's a lot that we don't hear about, is that traditional approaches to solving the malware problem, which are all detection-based, are completely failing us. We know that web and email are the source of over 90% of the attacks. In the last 20 years, we've thrown everything at the problem to figure out, how to stop these attacks. We've thrown antivirus signatures, IPS, firewalls, and lately we've been trying sandboxing technologies and machine learning, and none of it is working. All of these technologies come down to the same thing, which is to decide if the content is good or bad, and then they allow it to reach the endpoint if it's good and block if it's bad. So too frequently, the decision is wrong. We get false positives and we wind up chasing alerts for content that was good. Or we get false negatives and wind up with malware on users' devices, which is really when the trouble starts. Menlo Security was founded to bring a brand new approach to malware prevention that completely does away with the concept of detection in order to solve the problem. Most detection products that are out there use the concept of good versus bad to try to figure out whether it's malware or not. Obviously, that approach is failing. So Menlo Security is introducing a brand new approach that's based on isolation to solve the malware problem completely. The idea of isolation is to isolate and execute all of the content in a way that makes it impossible for malware to reach its target. In theory, isolation holds the promise of perfect security, completely eliminating malware with no false positives or false negatives. But in practice, isolation has been difficult to implement in a way that scales and doesn't break the user's experience. At Menlo Security, we've had two really big breakthroughs. The first one is running isolation at scale in the cloud. And the second one is to do with rendering technologies that completely preserve the native end-user experience without requiring any endpoint software. This lets any enterprise of any size deploy isolation for the first time at scale for all of their employees. The Menlo Security Isolation Platform addresses a number of key threat vectors, including infected websites, documents, email, and even fraud. In the remainder of this video, I'll focus on how the Menlo Security Isolation Platform eliminates malware risk from websites. This will be a very high-level view. In part 2 of this video series, I'll do a deeper dive into how it works. The isolation platform is inserted between the user and the web, typically via a proxy setting pushed automatically to the user's device, or via proxy chaining with your existing web gateway or firewall. I'll cover more about this in a later video. Anytime a user clicks on a web link or types a URL into their browser, their web request is proxied into the isolation platform, which browses the web on the user's behalf. It fetches the content and fully executes the user's web session. Only the rendering information, which is 100% safe, is sent to the user's device into their native browser without any need for endpoint software or plugins. All of the content from the web, good or bad, remains within the isolation platform and never reaches the end user's device. So Menlo Security has cracked the code on making isolation easy to deploy and completely transparent to the users. So enterprises of any size can now let employees go to bigger chunks of the internet while at the same time reducing the risk. The platform can also help with malicious links and emails, protecting employees from data theft and fraud. In the next video, we'll go deeper into the underlying technology and I'll explain how the isolation technology actually works. Until then, thanks for watching and stay safe.